And wait a minute, Nancy. Come back here. Come back here, Joe. Come here. Yesterday, technically, was Joe's birthday. And he told me after the service. So let's sing happy birthday to Joe without the drummer, okay? Just stand right here, buddy. You're welcome, buddy. Happy birthday. Thank you. 5 years. Wow. No, I forget. Goodness gracious. All right. Thank him for his 5 years of service at Unity of Richmond. Yeah, man. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Now you can go. This morning, it really feels great to be with each of you. And I just want to chat a little bit and maybe have a little bit of fun. We'll see. And I want to do some knock-knock jokes. And if I say knock-knock, for those who don't know how to do this, you say, who's there? Then I will say a word. And then you'll say that word with the statement, who? And then I will give you the answer. So, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Avery.
Avery who?
Avery, Merry Christmas. I didn't write them. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Donut.
Donut who?
Donut open till Christmas. One person liked that one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Rabbit.
Rabbit who?
Wrap it up carefully. It's a present for me. Okay, let's see here. I'm about ending. Well, for that, I'll give you 3 more. Okay, anyway. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Anna.
Anna who?
Anna partridge in a pear tree. And here's the last one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Holly.
Holly who?
Holidays are here again. Here's it. I got it. No, I'm not going to do that one. Okay, fine. So anyway, like I said, I wanted to just chat with you. It was negative. It was negative. I don't like negative. All right, fine. All right, here you go. Here we go. Some people just want lots of pain. Knock, knock. Who's there? Knock, knock. Rudolph.
Rudolph who?
Money is the Rudolph of all evil. One last one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Mary.
Mary who?
Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, like I said, I just kind of want to do this morning is just kind of chat about this wonder of oneness, this idea, if you could, that all of us are connected in some unique and mystical way. It is mystical because when we look at each other, we see separation. When we listen to each other, sometimes we listen to separation, although we don't want to do that, but we do. And so the opportunity is just talk about this idea of oneness. Eric Butterworth talked about Jesus' idea of oneness. And he said that what he believed is that around 11 or 12 years old, Jesus had an aha. He began to understand something that nobody else had understood. He began to understand that God was within him, not apart from him. And we don't know what happened after he was 12 years old until he was about 33 or 30 years old when he came into his ministry. But what we do know is that when he came in, he had well thought out his message. He knew what he was about. He knew who he was. And he told us that he was one with the Father and we are one with the Father. And he made a few other statements, but really it's in his actions that we understand that we truly all are one. And we celebrate that this Christmas morning. In the Baha'i faith, it says that conviction we belong to one human family is the heart of that faith. Baha'u'llah, I think, is the founder, compared the world of humanity to the human body. I thought this was kind of cool. Within this organism, millions of cells, diverse in form and function, play their part in maintaining a healthy system. The principle that governs the functioning of the body is cooperation. Its various parts do not compete for resources. Rather, each cell forms its inception, is linked to a continuous process of giving and receiving. The cells in our bodies don't compete with each other. They're always giving, always receiving, working together in unison. I mean, that to me is a wonder of oneness right there, that we have bodies that operate that way and function that way. And so as we look at that and we understand that we are working together, we are relating to one another in such a way that we are giving and receiving to one another, as we do that, we also come upon the idea, and we accept the idea, if you want, is that oneness of humanity really demands that prejudice, whether racial or religious or gender related, must be totally eliminated. It can only be totally eliminated when we begin that journey ourselves. And boy, do you guys do a beautiful job of that. I'm preaching to the choir, because you know how to accept one another and accept others as we grow as a family. And then I looked at the Course in Miracles. And the Course in Miracles talks about the word atonement. But most of us who study the Course call it at one-ment. Atonement is at one-ment. It says that it's the only level at which the Christ man is able to have union with the human man. It's through at one-ment. At one-ment is the miracle, if you would, the holy instant when we recognize that we are all one, when we recognize that we are brothers and sisters, and when we behold in the other person, not through judgment, but through love, that we truly are one with another. That if I become angry at you, I'm angry at myself. If I'm not forgiving of you, I am not forgiving of myself. If I'm not loving you, I am not loving myself. You see, it all has to work together of giving and receiving. And so as it talks about this idea of at one-ment, the Course says the little I, the me, seeks to enhance itself by external possessions and external love, which means conditional love. That's the way we operate in the world. That's our humanness. But the self that God created needs nothing. It is forever complete, safe, and loved and loving. It seeks to share rather than get, to extend rather than project. That's the idea of the at one-ment. My first trip to Unity Village was in 1998. And I think for about a year and a half I had a really good discipline, if you would, of meditation and prayer. Had read quite a bit about unity and was starting to grow in my faith. And I was in a class called Prosperity and Healing. Anna Joyce Schaus, Grace at that time was her name, was leading the class. And she took us into a meditation. And she asked us to gently close our eyes, and it was a guided meditation, obviously. And what she asked each of us to do is to see ourselves in a hallway that was not dark, but it wasn't well lit. But that at the end of that hallway, we were to visualize that we saw a light. And as we became closer, what we saw was an elevator. Or a doorway. And she said, now either step through the doorway or step into the doorway. And this is the first time I'd ever experienced anything quite like this. And I chose to step into the doorway rather than through the doorway. And when I did, all of a sudden, I felt like I was on an elevator going up to the top, if you would, the Empire State Building. And I would zoom to the top. And when I got there, this awe of oneness. I can't even tell you what it didn't look like anything. It was all emotion, all feeling. And I experienced this oneness, and I knew I knew that I was one with God and everything else, one with each and every person. And from time to time, I forget that. But I never forget the experience, and I can always come back into it by experiencing that oneness. And I hope that all of you have had that experience or will have that experience as you grow in your consciousness. So what are the ingredients, if you would, of oneness? You've heard them over and over again. One ingredient is love overcoming fear. That most of us are brought up believing in fear. Most of us are brought up believing in conditional love. But when we move into that Christ presence, when we recognize the truth of our being, what happens is that we eliminate the fear. We have a process that we work through to bring those things we are fearful of into our consciousness and be aware of it. And when we do that, they dissolve because of the power of love. So we move from fear to love to find our oneness. The second thing that the Course is very big on, and it certainly is the key to the Course, is the power of forgiveness. The Course says that we are all about relationships. And Jesus said in the Course that we are all about relationships. And that we have relationships so we can find ourselves. Isn't that interesting? So we can see a mirror of ourselves. And we look in that mirror, do we like what we see or don't like what we see? And the neat thing is that we have a choice. If we don't like what we see, it doesn't mean we're bad. It doesn't even mean we're imperfect. What it means is we're becoming aware and conscious of what we do not want to be. And all we have to do is change our mind. And when we change our mind, we then step into that power of oneness, that power of love over fear. Forgiveness is unknown, it says in the Course, in the heavenly mind, in the absolute. There is no forgiveness. Unconditional love, think about that, sees nothing but the good, sees nothing but the perfection in each person, beholds the Christ. And when we live in that place, there is no room for forgiveness. It's when we forget that we need to change our mind and in that moment forgive ourselves. Not because we've been bad, not because we're not still on our journey, not because we got off track, but instead we forgive ourselves because we know that we are finding our way. It's good. It was just a mistaken idea or thought. And so we step into that idea of oneness when we are willing to forgive others and forgive ourselves. I truly don't even believe we have to forgive others, because I think the whole idea is that if I see something in another person that is in me, I need to forgive myself for seeing it in the other person. Forgiving somebody else is a judgment call. And I'm not saying you shouldn't let go or release anything that bothers you in someone's behavior. That's what we do. But I am saying that it really starts with forgiving oneself. And when we do that, we can step into that oneness and that uniqueness into the field of quantum physics, if you would, where we know we are all connected one with another as a source of energy. The other thing we need to learn to do is to behold the Christ in all people, no matter the circumstances. It's kind of hard today. We have to behold the Christ in a wrongful death, a shooting, and that person who did the shooting. We have to behold the Christ in the terrorist. We have to behold the Christ in anybody we think is our enemy or doesn't think the way we think they should. We have to really behold their oneness, their uniqueness, and see that. It is the only way I believe we will eventually achieve oneness in this world. And in connecting with every person, we do it by honoring each person fully and lovingly. Jesus said nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies a peace and oneness with God. Heaven and earth shall not pass away means that we will not continue in separate states. We're not going to go anywhere to achieve oneness. It's already here. We're just awakening to it, aware of it. And that way we can share what I think is the gift of Christmas, the gift of the Christ, and that is knowing that I am one with each of you and you are one with me. It's knowing that I am one with that which created me. It's knowing that that which created me birthed me in such a way that I am a reflection of what I was created by, not a reflection of the world. That's oneness. That's what we appreciate. That's what we love about the unity movement, as a matter of fact, at least I do. This Christmas, my wish for you is that you experience right now in your heart that oneness, that place of peace, that place of faith, that place of joy, and certainly that place of love. That's what you truly are. That's who you are. And you know, as I see each of you in the way we interact in this movement, we are one. Some kind of way when we come here, we're able to be the one. And I suspect most of you have that oneness when you go out into the world. But again, sometimes we just forget. Sometimes we get a little off track because something bothers us or upsets us. Somebody says something to us that pushes a button. And I would suggest if you want to get rid of the button, bring the button up. Look at it and say, why am I allowing that to push my button? And it's because I am not in the state of oneness in that moment. I'm in the state of meanness. Not meanness, meanness. Okay? Me. Elsie's mother, Lauren, used to always say in the Course in Miracles, what I always remember is there's a little me and the big I am. I loved it every time she said it because she was speaking the truth. It's the I am in you and in me. It is the Christ Spirit. It is the higher consciousness that brings us together into this oneness on this Christmas morning. So let's just take a moment. I'd just like to pray with you this morning. In Spirit, we take this moment to breathe in our oneness, to feel the love that we have for one another and that we have for this world, to feel the joy of knowing that we are one, that we truly are the Christ, that we truly are the expression of divine mind. Christmas is so special, for it brings into focus for so many the beauty of oneness. The beauty of knowing that each of us are all children of God, no matter what word we use. We give thanks this Christmas for our oneness. We give thanks for the unity movement. We give thanks that we are truly unified in the Christ presence. And I do pray this in the name and in the power and the consciousness of that child who was born 2,000 years ago, who became Jesus the Christ. And so it is. Amen. And now I believe at this time we're supposed to have our ushers come forward.